And we are live. Hello, 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 my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. So, welcome back to the Astro Room. Happy Tuesday. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying this amazing astrological energy that we've got going on today. So, if you are new around here, welcome to the Astro Room. My name is Mel. I am your new favorite astrologer, and I'm the founder of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So, if this is our first time meeting, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So, this channel is everything astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So, if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, or if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my love. So today we are discussing the upcoming new moon in the sign of Gemini. All right. So if you're somewhat familiar with the channel, typically I do these moon series videos, like I pre-record them and upload them to, the channel. However, I decided to do something a little different this time because it's a lot easier going live. Like once I go live and it's done, that's it. Like I don't have to do any editing. So want to see how this goes. So I may just make these moon series videos lives from now on. We'll see how it goes. But regardless, that is what we are here to talk about today. And this is such a beautiful new moon to begin a new cycle. Not just because it's a new moon, right? And new moons are all about new beginnings, setting new intentions, planting new seeds, you know the deal. But because of what is going on in the sky right now, I don't know about you, but we've got some really favorable astrological energy right now, and it has me feeling amazing. Just the plethora of ideas, of thoughts, of dreams even has just been like top tier. And I love when we have a new moon when the cosmic climate is just ripe for it, right? Sometimes we have new moons that can be quite challenging. And it's like, setting intentions at those new moons can be a little arduous, can feel like a chore. However, this feels like fun. This feels like perfection almost. I think I actually used that word today with someone. I said, this energy just feels like perfection. And so, this is the climate in which we are setting new intentions. All right. So, let's see how I want to structure this. I have it structured already. However, I don't know if I want to go into too much in the intro. Suffice it to say, we're dealing with a new moon in Gemini. So essentially, if I had to sum up what to do or what the energy is like for this new moon in Gemini, it would be planting new mental seeds. It is all about getting your mind right. All right. And I feel like I've been saying that phrase ad nauseum for like the last like 2, 3 weeks. Okay. But these are the times that we're in. The way that everything is set up, we have a unique opportunity. And it is truly unique because of the planetary placements and the energy that is available to us. We truly have a unique ability and unique opportunities to really think differently. Think about it this way. We have a new moon in Gemini every year. New moons happen every month. There's nothing out of the ordinary when it comes to that. What differentiates a new moon in Gemini this year from the new moon in Gemini last year and the year prior is the cosmic climate at that particular time, right? And so the major thing that differentiates this Gemini season and this Gemini new moon from previous Gemini new moons, at least over the last 20 years, is that we have Pluto in Aquarius. And because Pluto is in an air sign, which is this harmonious energy, right, between both the new moon and Pluto, right? So it's this ability to really transform the way that we think. Essentially, it allows us to think differently and in a profound and permanent kind of way, all right? Okay. Sorry, something switched with my camera and I'm like, I just want to make sure I'm still live. If I'm still live and you can hear me, definitely let me know in the chat so I know that I'm not talking to myself. Um, but like I was saying, Pluto in Aquarius is giving us a very unique opportunity to really think differently. So this means that let's say that you were really tied or you were really married to a particular belief or a particular thought. Now is the time when you not only can change it, but you likely will change it. For better or for worse, the way that we're thinking, the things that we are being exposed to are changing, whether we kind of want it to or not. And this is very much to our advantage because now things that may have seemed impossible in the past or not likely or arduous or really hard to come about are going to formulate a lot easier now. Our minds are becoming rewired in a way that's bringing us into the future successfully. Now, there are some people that will argue that this is not the case, that the world is going to hell in a handbasket right now. The world is coming to an end, and the world is coming to an end in the way that we know it. Just because it's coming to an end doesn't mean that there isn't better going forward. And that's exactly the sort of the threshold of where we're at right now. We're at the precipice, we're at the threshold of a new era. And fortunately enough for us, we have the opportunity to create new realities. And this new moon in Gemini is the breeding ground for that. We are planting mental seeds at this new moon, and it's going to be absolutely, absolutely amazing. All right. So, in terms of the specifics, all right, this new moon in Gemini is going down on Thursday, June 6th, and it's happening at 8:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. It's going down at 16 degrees of Gemini. And I'm going to go into Gemini energy, the numerology, all of that good stuff. But like I said, if I had to sum up the energy and the assignment for this particular new moon, it would be planting mental seeds. All right. So without further ado, let's jump into the basics because that's always where we begin. Okay. All right. So, in terms of the basics, let's talk Gemini energy and let's talk new moon energy. Now, if you're not new around here, or maybe even if you are new around here, but you're cognizant of new moons are all about setting new intentions and planting new seeds. It's when the sun and the moon are conjunct, meaning that they occupy the same space in the sky. And what I love about new moons is that it sort of represents wholeness. The sun represents our conscious, our ego, our personality, sort of the extroverted part of us. Whereas the moon represents our subconscious, our emotions, our intuition, and our internal world. And so when you have both of those together conjunct, it's like you have this element of wholeness. And it is within that wholeness that we create, where we plant new seeds and set new intentions, right? So it's this very holistic sort of time. It's also when the lunar cycle begins. So it's the very beginning, it's the start. The slate is wiped clean, and so are we. We literally get a do over every single month. And I want to stress that because a lot of times, a lot of us are not very tuned into nature, right? We're too busy working, paying bills, taking care of kids, doing all of that stuff, right? So sinking, well, I'll say this. Women are a lot more attuned to nature because we have a moon cycle. So whether we're cognizant or conscious of it or not, we are attuned to nature. But generally, as a society, you don't see, on the news isn't going to tell you when it's a new moon or when it's a full moon, right? And what to do. Like, that's just not a part of society. However, when we attune to nature, that's when things flow in our lives. That's when we experience the magic of the universe. And so every month, you have the ability to start something new. Now, I talk a lot about manifestation, and I will definitely be talking a lot about manifestation in this particular live as well. However, manifestation, you have the ability to manifest whatever you want, right? But I always say that the astrology, nature, it'll tell you what to focus on. We have a new moon every month, right? But depending on where that new moon is taking place is going to let you know what you should be focusing on. There are going to be new moons for money. There are going to be new moons for relationships. There's going to be new moons for career. There's going to be new moons for family, right? Not to say that you can't manifest whatever you want whenever you want. However, like I said, when you are in tune with nature, that's when things start to flow. So, being that we have this new moon in the sign of Gemini, this is all about our minds. It's about our mental activities. It's about our mental capacity. It's about our ideas and communication. And this is important because thoughts become things. It's the first of the Hermetic principles. The all is mind, the universe is mental. So everything that you see in your outer reality begins in your mind. Everything that you use was once merely a part of someone's imagination until that imagination came to life. And so when we have a new moon in the sign of Gemini, it allows us to create in our mind what we want to see in our outer reality. Okay. Now, in terms of Gemini as a sign, Gemini is very busybody energy. It's very active, it's very communicative, it's very vocal, and it's very expressive. So, this is the time where you want to be vocal, where you want to be expressive. Again, it also covers ideas, communication, right? Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is the communicator. In ancient Greek mythology, Mercury, as represented or better known as Hermes, was the messenger of the gods, going back and forth very quickly, right? So, Mercury has this energy signature of speed. Think of, if you're familiar with how our body works and our nervous system, and how the energy of the nervous system is very rapid, like that is governed by Mercury and thereby Gemini, right? So it's all about rewiring the way that we think. This is what is at our disposal for this new moon, all right? It's also about speaking things into existence, okay? If you didn't catch my weekly astro forecast that I did live last night, I highly suggest that you do, because I talk a lot about speaking things into existence. And this is the time to do that, all right? So, okay, sorry, my computer's over here. So if you see me looking over here, I'm checking out comments. But this is the time to speak things into existence. So we're thinking about what we want, we're speaking what we want, we are creating new narratives for ourselves. Okay. This is one of those new moons where you really want to be cognizant of not only what you are saying and thinking, but what you are listening to as well. Okay. I will get all into that in the manifestation part of this live, but suffice it to say, this is what is going down at this new moon. We are getting our minds right so that we can get our realities right. All right. So now let's get into the numerology of this new moon and what exactly it means. All right. I am a big proponent of numerology because, along with astrology, it gives you so much information. It tells you a lot more about a situation. So, whenever we have a new moon or a full moon, I like to look at the numerology. And you get the numerology from the degree of the new moon or the full moon. So, this new moon in Gemini is going down at 16 degrees. In numerology, we always reduce double digits or even triple digits down to a single digit. So, 1 plus 6 is 7. So, this new moon in Gemini is sponsored by the number 7. And 7 is a very interesting number. It's also a very powerful number. Think of creation itself, right? God created everything within 7 days. 7 is a very spiritual number, it's a very holy number, right? It's basically the combination of intellect and intuition. What I love about the number 7 is that it's very much in alignment with the energy signature of Gemini. Now, I said before that Gemini in Greek mythology, well, Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury in Greek mythology was Hermes. Hermes was the messenger of the gods. So, Hermes could go from Mount Olympus to where the gods are, essentially heaven, down to earth to where we mortals are, right? So understand the dual nature of Gemini. Gemini is all about duality, it's all about heaven and earth. And Mercury and thereby Gemini, bridges the gap between heaven and earth. I want you to remember that because not only is everything mental, right? Thoughts become things, but oh my gosh, I just had this wonderful train of thought that just derailed. That's very that's very symbolic of the energy right now. Having a ton of ideas and then like losing your train of thought. So I was talking about heaven and earth and the dualistic nature of I know where I was going with this. The dualistic nature of Gemini, right? So not only do thoughts become things, but as above, so below. And so this is the energy signature of this particular new moon, as above, so below. What happens in the ethers, what happens in the esoteric realm is a direct reflection of what is happening on the material plane. What is happening in your mind is a direct reflection of what is happening in your external reality. This is not only inherent in Gemini energy, but it's also inherent in the numerology of the number 7. So this is a highly spiritual uh new moon in the sense that the universe is saying to us and reminding us, as above so below, what you think about comes about. This is like there's like an exclamation point on those two phrases. So that lets you know the sort of the gravity of this new moon. It's really important. And this energy functions whether you're conscious of it or not. And that's why intention is so important right now because whatever you're thinking about, especially a lot, not only what you're thinking about, but what you put like emotion behind, it's going to come to pass. I mean, it always does. But this new moon is like, all right, this is the universe is like, okay, this is what you're thinking about. This is what you're repeating. This is the story that you're telling yourself. Okay, cool. Then we're going to go with this. The universe is non-judgmental, right? The universe isn't going to say, "Oh, you shouldn't think that." Or whatever. The universe is going to be like, your wish is my command, so this is what you're thinking about? All right, cool. So, it really behooves you to be very intentional about what you want and about what you're thinking about, okay? Let's see what else we have. It's also the number 7 is also very analytical, which bodes well for Gemini energy because of course Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So, what this made me think of is the fact that currently in the astrological climate, we have Jupiter in Gemini. So, Jupiter in Gemini is giving you a lot of thoughts, it's giving you a whole bunch of stuff. Now, I did a whole dedicated video on this, so you can check that out. So, I don't need to go into all that detail in this video, but it's lots of ideas, right? And so the number 7 reminds you that you kind of need to sift through everything that you're being presented with, all of the opportunities that are arising, all the thoughts that are coming up. Sift through them, analyze them, use your discernment to figure out what's important, what's not. What's not important, you can cast to the side, maybe save for later. What is important is what you're going to focus on, is what you're going to keep thinking about, is what you're going to write about, it's what you're going to say, it's even what you're going to sing about for some of you. But we'll get to the manifestation and all the fun part, all the fun stuff later. But yes, so it's analytical, it's intuitive, it is intellectual. These are the adjectives that describe the energy signature of the number 7, right? So this is everything that this new moon is about. Now, in terms of the astrology associated with the number 7. So, numerology and astrology are loosely linked in certain ways. And so, every single digit is associated with a different sign of the zodiac. Now, the number 7 is associated with the sign of Libra because Libra is the 7th sign of the zodiac. So, Libra is all about relationships, it's also about equality. But I want to highlight the relationship part as it pertains to the number 7 and this new moon in Gemini. It's not just when I say relationships, I don't just mean romantic relationships, any relationship. Now, I said before, Gemini has to do with communication. Inherent in communication is relationships, right? Because you're not necessarily talking to yourself Although you can sometimes. I know I talk to myself when I need to speak to an expert. But normally, when we talk about communication, we're talking about talking to at least one other person, right? So, the way that we communicate with people and how our communication may affect people or how people's communication, ideas, thoughts, speech, music, whatever affects us is sort of the undercurrent of this particular new moon. That's why I said before, it's not just about what you think about or what you speak with this new moon. It's also what you listen to, who you listen to. We call that your mental diet. What are you feasting on mentally? Is it garbage? Is it junk food? Is it intellectual stuff? Is it spiritual stuff? Like, mind your mental diet at this time. Because again, whatever you're thinking about repeatedly is what's going to come about. I want to give two examples. So, have you ever had a song stuck in your head? I don't know about you, but there are times when I'll have a random song will pop into my head and it will be in my head for days, right? And invariably, what ends up happening is that I will actually hear that song being played. It's been playing in my head for days, and then all of a sudden it plays. I hear it like in a car passing by, or I hear it on TV or the internet, right? Like, that's what happens. And that's mindless, right? Like, it's not even like I'm intentionally thinking of this song and saying, oh, I want to hear it. I want to hear it, in my environment. Like, no, it's just stuck in my head, right? That's happened to me so many times, and at first it used to freak me out, but now it's just normal because it is the law of the universe. What you think about comes about, and if you're thinking about something repeatedly, obviously it's gonna come about. So, be mindful, especially if you're someone who tends to, like, gravitate to a song and constantly repeat the lyrics. Lyrics, music, spoken word, those all fall under the realm of Gemini. And with the Gemini energy like on and popping right now, if you are repeating lyrics in your minds, some of that is going to manifest in your reality. It could be in a wonky way, it could be exactly as you're saying it. So mind the lyrics that you are repeating. Mind the news that you are watching and that you are disseminating, okay? Because that Gemini energy, like I said, is real potent right now. I saw something on the internet. I don't remember if it was yesterday or the day before. It was a tragic situation where a young man, lost his life. And it I can't remember exactly like where this happened, but it turns out that I think he was shot, which is such a tragic thing to happen. But what I found so interesting was that I don't know if this was his mother or a family member that posted a picture of him. The picture that they posted of him was him, like, holding up, like, a gun's like, like this, in the picture, and this is the picture they posted, and I was just like, "Are you for real?" Like, this kid was literally, like, on some gang shit, some gunner type shit or whatever, and he ended up getting shot, and I was like, "Do you see the correlation? What you think about comes about." So again, be mindful of what you are mentally ingesting at this time is super important. Now, the number 7 is also associated with the signs of Pisces and Neptune. Remember, I said, as above, so below. Pisces and Neptune is the realm of the ethers, it's the spiritual realm. We always have access to that, right? But again, the fact that this new moon is happening at the 16th degree with the numerology of 7 reminds you that as above, so below. What you think about comes about. What you dream about, what you imagine comes to pass. So keep that in mind. Then we have the tarot card for the number 7 is the Chariot. The Chariot is all about movement forward. The Chariot in the tarot often represents modes of transportation. And what did I say before? Hermes is the messenger of the gods and is very speedy. So the fact that this new moon is happening at the number 7 reinforces the fact that there's speed here. There aren't going to be too many delays. I'm going to tell you, like, so last night I noticed there was something going on in my business last night. As soon as I got off the live, I noticed this thing, and it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It had to do with a customer, right? And I took my own advice, in the live last night. I said, everything depends on the story that you give it. I didn't have to think of this thing as a bad thing. I could say, well, the fact that this happened means that something good is going to happen. That's all I said. And I didn't put too much thought into it. At first, I was like annoyed and frustrated, but then I was like, you know what? The fact that this is happening is actually a good thing for me. Something good is going to come out of this. I woke up this morning and it's like what I lost was immediately replenished, like immediately. Emphasis on immediate. So the fact that this new moon is happening at the number 7, things are speedy. This isn't going to take long, right? And again, this isn't to scare you or get you anxious about your thoughts. I don't want you to sit here and police your thoughts. This is more so about understanding that things are going to come to pass quick. There's quickness and there's speed involved in this new moon. So use that to your advantage. Use it to your advantage. And then finally, I like to look at something called the Sabian symbols. And the Sabian symbols basically give an archetypal story to each degree of the zodiac. So when we look at 16 degrees of Gemini, the archetypal story for this degree is the head of a robust youth changes into that of a mature thinker. So inherent in that is exactly what it sounds like. You're sort of going from adolescent to adult, from teenager to adult. You're seeing things differently. And this is exactly what I said before. Because of the current astrological climate with Pluto in Aquarius, we can change the way that we think. And I don't want to necessarily say that we are being more mature in our thinking. I don't want to say that because that's not necessarily the case. It's not like you were thinking immaturely before and now you're mature. No, I want you to understand that what this Sabian symbol is trying to symbolize is the fact that there is a profound and permanent change in the way that we think. Because think of it this way, when you go from adolescence to adulthood, that's a permanent change. You can't go back to adolescence, right? And so that's what's going on with our thinking. Our thinking is changing irrevocably. It's changing in a very profound and permanent kind of way. So, again, use that to your advantage. And you should be excited about this. You know why? Because things that you may have wanted in the past may not have come to pass because of the way that you were thinking. But now that the way that you are thinking is changing, those things can come to pass. You can have the things that you want, the things that you thought were impossible. It's possible now. So you should be excited. You should really be excited for this new moon because the energy is just really dope. All right. So that's the numerology. Let's move on to the astrology. All right. So in terms of astrology, I talked about Jupiter in Gemini, Pluto is in Aquarius. We've also got Jupiter trine Pluto. Okay. I did 3 separate videos on these transits. I will link them in the description box below so you can get a better idea of this, right? However, suffice it to say, we've got a lot of Gemini energy right now. Currently, we've got the sun in Gemini. We've got the moon is going to be in Gemini, right? With this new moon. We've got Jupiter in Gemini. We've got Venus in Gemini. We've got Mercury in Gemini. It's a lot. So you want to take a look at where Gemini is in your natal chart. This is going to tell you the area of life that the house of Gemini in your natal chart covers is going to tell you what you should be working on at this new moon. Okay. But we have a Gemini stellium. It's called a stellium when you have all of these planets in the same sign. So that Gemini energy is hot, it's popping right now. And I talked about that Gemini energy already. However, we've got 2 other transits that are going to be very important. And the first is that this new moon is going to be conjunct to Venus. Now, what that means is that the sun, the moon, and Venus are all going to be at the same degree. Now, remember, I just said in the numerology portion that the number 7 is associated with the sign of Libra. the ruler of Libra is Venus. So the fact that Venus is conjunct this new moon means that there is going to be an undercurrent of relationships. Now, again, it doesn't mean romantic relationships. It just means that relationships of any kind are going to be emphasized, are going to be focused on. So, depending on where this is going down in your chart, whatever you're trying to manifest at this new moon may have to do with relationships, right? It could be romantic relationships, could be dating, could be kids, it could be family, right? Either way, romance is the thing. The other thing, or I should say, relationships are going to be a thing. The other thing that's going to be a thing is money. Venus has everything to do with money and value. So if you're trying to manifest a new job, perhaps, if you're trying to manifest, more clients, if you're trying to manifest investments is going to be a big one for this particular new moon. And I'll tell you why in a second. But money is going to be a thing. So fix your mind, get your mind fixated and aligned with the money goals that you have. All right. The other transit that's going to be important for this new moon is the fact that the new moon is going to be square to Saturn. So there is going to be a little bit of uncomfortability with this new moon. Squares indicate tension and frustration, right? Now, Saturn is currently in Pisces. Saturn in Pisces is all about making your dreams a reality. So, with this new moon in Gemini and Gemini sort of ruling the mind, right? It's almost like there is this disconnect between your logical mind and your imagination. Your imagination is probably operating on all cylinders right now. I know that mine is, especially with Jupiter and Gemini. So, your imagination is going like a mile a minute. But then you find that your logical brain is like, no, I can't manifest that. Like that doesn't make any sense. That's irrational. I don't have any money. It's like your logical mind is sort of psyching out your imagination. And that's normal, right? That's some regular shit, right? We all tend to do that to ourselves at some point in time. However, the way that I want you to use this situation is like this. When you find that you're psyching yourself out or your logical mind is psyching out your imagination, it's letting you know that this is an area where you are experiencing resistance. Okay? So perhaps you want to manifest a new job or maybe you want to go in a different direction career-wise. And you envision yourself at this posh new job with a corner office making bank, right? You're making like 300K a year. Your imagination is like, yo, this is where we're going. This is what we want. And your logical mind is like, I can't have that right now, or it's going to take so long, or I don't know if I have the skills for that, right? In that particular scenario, what's happening is your resistance to your imagination is showing you that maybe you have a limiting belief with respect to your skills. Maybe you don't think you're good enough. Maybe you don't think you're smart enough. Lean into that resistance to figure out where it comes from and how you can get rid of it, right? Perhaps you are really smart. You are really capable. You're very skillful at what you do. However, you've had people around you who constantly put you down or constantly criticize you, maybe out of jealousy or maybe even out of ignorance. So it sort of made you unaware of your own capabilities, even though those capabilities are there. Right? I hope this is making sense because this is a really important facet, not just of manifesting with this new moon, but manifesting, period. Because resistance, it sort of slows things down. Resistance puts things a little further out of our reach or it delays things a little more. But that resistance that you're feeling, that frustration between what you want and what you think you can have is such valuable information. It basically shows you what you need to work on. Okay? So it's really important that you take the time to examine that. The fact that this new moon is going down in Gemini, it means that you need to sit down and really think. Don't just do a passing intention, right? Like, this isn't the time for you to just be like thinking of a thought. I mean, actually, I take that back. If you don't have resistance to a particular idea or particular thing, a passing thought can really manifest in your life, right? It that's possible. What I will say though is that you want to be intentional. You want to be intentional about taking the time to be intentional about your intentions. I hope that made sense because that sounded very, verbose. Um so take time out to think about what you want. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And the last thing I'll say about the moon square Saturn, Saturn fosters longevity. So whatever it is that you're intending at this new moon, that's why I said investments are going to be a thing because investments, obviously, you're playing the long game. It's going to be good to plant those seeds at this new moon because Saturn will help foster longevity. It'll help foster stability. It'll help foster staying power. So, long term goals are going to be good to manifest at this new moon. Investments are going to be a good thing to manifest at this new moon, depending on where this new moon is happening in your chart. Commitment, whether in business or romantic relationships, is going to be a thing. You get what I mean? Longevity, security, stability, any of those things are going to thrive at this new moon. All right. So now let's get to the fun part. Let's get into manifestation and what you can do to make the most of this new moon energy. All right. So you already know new moons are all about planting new seeds, setting new intentions, right? And in a sign like Gemini, these are mental intentions. So the new moon is the beginning of the manifestation phase. It's when we think about what we want, and between now and the full moon, or between the new moon and the full moon, is when you take action steps toward the fulfillment or the fruition of those manifestations. So in a sign like Gemini, you can really have, and you should have, fun with this. Make believe and pretend are going to be your best friends with this. And I mean it with all sincerity. Um, I mean, I'm the type of person that likes to daydream and my mind wanders a lot. But the energy of Jupiter and Gemini is going to have your mind all over the place. It's like there's no limits to what you can think about. And when you think about it, it's kind of like being a kid again. When as a kid, you weren't jaded, you weren't disappointed, at least maybe not entirely. You could play make believe. You were actually kind of expected to play make believe, if I'm being honest, right? So why can't you do that now? Like, make believe what you want. And I don't care how outlandish it is. This is the time when you're going to want to quiet all the outside noise. Do not tell, when you're manifesting, you generally shouldn't be telling people what you're trying to manifest anyway. You don't want too many hands in the pot, too much energy like messing your stuff up, right? You don't need people's outside opinions or judgment providing excess resistance to the thing that you're trying to manifest. So play with this, be imaginative. Maybe you don't even have two nickels to rub together. I want you to think about being with your partner on a yacht at sunset with like boatloads of champagne. Like, I want you to think whatever tickles your pickle, whatever you fancy. I don't care how outlandish or how irrational it seems, dream about it and have fun with it. Now, the energy of Gemini, like I said, it's speaking things into existence. So, one of the things that's going to be really great for this particular new moon is affirmations. Now, you can do affirmations in different ways. You can do affirmations, what I like to do is when something comes up related to something I want, I'll affirm in my head right then and there that I already have that thing. The other thing is that you can record yourself speaking certain affirmations and then listen to that recording. The other way that I like to do, and I do this every night, is I use subliminals. I record affirmations in my own voice at a very low tone, and I mix it with nature sounds or meditative music, and I listen to it literally while I go to sleep. So affirmations are going to be great. Journaling and scripting are also going to be really good too. Especially scripting, like some people like to script affirmations like repeatedly. If that works for you, then great. When I script, I'm literally writing the story of my life in a narrative in the first person, almost like a diary entry. Doing that every day works wonders. I've actually manifested a lot of nice stuff that way by scripting, right? Next is going to be music. Music is also going to be your best friend when manifesting for this new moon because lyrics are covered by Gemini. So I don't know if you are someone, I know someone who would make up music lyrics with the affirmations or with the intentions that they had. Like it wouldn't necessarily be like music that you would actually like a whole like 4-minute song, but it would be like rhymes. They would make these rhymes and they would just repeat them because it was easy for them to remember. And that's a great way to manifest. Listening to music. Now, you want to be cognizant of the actual lyrics because I know sometimes I love a good beat, but then when you actually listen to the lyrics, it's like, whoa, 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 I'm not trying to manifest that kind of shit in my life. But lyrics to songs. Like I have certain money playlists. Like when I'm really on my Rick Ross shit and I'm trying to manifest money, I have a money playlist that really gets me in that vibration. When I'm in my lover girl stage, I have a couple of playlists that really put me in that lover girl soft sensual kind of vibe, right? This is all about evoking your mind and your emotions with this. So have fun with it. Whatever works for you is dope. Whatever sticks, whatever you can be consistent with. And mind you, anything that you're doing to manifest under this new moon, you're not just doing it on Thursday. This is something that you're going to continuously do, continuously do. You know, they say it takes about 21 days for a habit to form. And if you're consistently scripting, if you are consistently making affirmations, if you're consistently journaling, consistently using subliminals, you're going to find that these things are going to come to pass. And like I said, because we've got all of this Gemini energy, it's going to come quick, fast, and in a hurry. So be prepared. Okay. And that brings me to the last thing I want to say about manifesting is that whatever method you use, understand that the first part is setting the intention, doing the technique, if you will, right? The second thing is not only gratitude, but being prepared to receive it. It makes no sense if you're like, I want a partner, right? And then someone shows up and you're like, "Nah, I don't think so. Nah, I don't think so." It's like, so then why are you doing this? Why are you trying to manifest this, right? Be prepared to receive. It's gonna, like I said, it's coming quick, fast. So be prepared to receive. Do whatever you need to do technique wise, ritual wise, and then be prepared to receive and be grateful for it. Gratitude always intensifies and enhances your manifestations. All right. So again, have fun with this. This is a beautiful, beautiful new moon to have some new things in your life. All right. So now let's get into the messages that Spirit has for us for this new moon. All right. So, in terms of the messages, we have quite a few, but they're actually really good. All right. So, I mean, they're always really good. I mean, they come from Spirit. So, how can they not be good? But, all right. So, first message: a profound breakthrough is possible at this time. You are the newly formed butterfly emerging from the chrysalis. And this has everything to do with Pluto and Aquarius. We are simultaneously, as a collective, we are birthing a new collective consciousness, both collectively and individually. And so this is perhaps one of the first new moons after we've emerged from the chrysalis. So it's almost like many of us are taking our new ways of thinking out for a spin this first new moon in Gemini. So it's a really profound time where we are going to see just how different our consciousness is. Like when I tell you this is a wonderful time to be alive, it really is. Next, it is darkest before the dawn. Expect solid results at or around the next upcoming full moons, meaning the full moons in June and July, both of which will be in the sign of Capricorn. So we have something really interesting happening. In the month of June, we have a full moon in Capricorn. And then in the month of July, that full moon is also going to be in Capricorn. So understand that that's the universe's way of putting a big exclamation point. So I'm going to repeat this sentence again. It is darkest before the dawn. Expect solid results at or around the next upcoming full moons in June or July, both of which will be in the sign of Capricorn. Lots of purging darkness before manifestation, the dawn, okay? So, what this means is that we are going to see solid, tangible results of our manifestations, or at least parts of them, by the full moon of this month and the full moon of July. But before then, we're going to have some purging to do. There's going to be a little bit of a challenge. There's going to be a little bit of darkness, a little bit of negativity perhaps before the bounty comes to pass, okay? So don't get discouraged, especially if things seem like they're falling apart. If things seem like they're falling apart, if you're finding that you're receiving the opposite of what you are intending or manifesting, those two things mean that your manifestation is on the way. Trust and believe. So power through those times. Don't lose faith. Keep that in mind. Next, getting in touch with your deepest desires and your ability to create and experience abundance. Clear any blockages to your sacral chakra. So your sacral chakra is the seat of your creativity. And so even though we're focusing on our mental capabilities with this new moon, our creativity, our creative power comes from our sacral chakra. So you may need to clear any of that energy, especially if you've got stagnant energy, if you've got wounds there, if it is unbalanced, tend to your sacral chakra at this time. Next, this is a time of action when you are being pushed to be proactive. Be one-track minded and don't waver on the desired goal. Being a bit headstrong will serve you right now, okay? It's very important that you are one-track minded. And when I say one-track minded, I don't necessarily mean that you're only focusing on one intention, meaning that you are not wavering between having faith and not having faith. Like you have to have unwavering faith, right? This is like, okay, I'm thinking this, I want this, it'll come to pass, period. Don't entertain doubt, don't entertain resistance, don't entertain anything that bifurcates your energy. And by bifurcates, I mean makes you think it's possible, then not think it's possible, okay? Faith is going to be your best friend during this time. Relationships will be the first things to change. It's your personal breakthrough that changes them. Relationships will be an immense source of information. So I already talked about relationships as they pertain to this new moon. The new moon is happening at the 7th degree. 7 is associated with the sign of Libra. The new moon is conjunct to Venus. Now, if you're unfamiliar with my channel, right, if you've been around for a minute, you'll know that I always say that relationships are just a reflection of you. And so if your mentality is changing and this change is happening quickly, the first way that you're going to see that your mentality has changed is through your relationships. They're going to directly mirror how you are, what you think and what you believe. So around the time of this new moon, pay attention. And even going forward, as your manifestation starts to unfold, pay attention to your relationships. How are people interacting with you? What are they showing you about yourself? This is going to be very valuable information. Next, family dynamics and situations need to be examined. There's a lot underneath the surface. Do some research or digging to find the truth, then heal from it. Okay. I think I mentioned this in the live last night where I talked about how tradition is just peer pressure from dead people, right? Breaking generational curses does not necessarily have to do with someone who put a hex on your family. It could be a mentality that has been passed down from generation to generation. And the fact that we, in this time right now, are able to transform the way that we think means that we are breaking generational curses. Now, if you've been tied to a particular mentality, if you've been tied to a particular belief all your life, breaking that is a thing, right? And it may require some healing. It may require some mourning of that thing before you can just move forward. So give yourself grace. Allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling. Allow yourself to acknowledge where you were so that you can move to where you want to go. Okay, that's going to be really important as well. Next, shedding old skin. The upcoming full moons, and again, both full moons in June and July are going to be in Capricorn. They will be times of great release and catharsis. Energy in equals energy out. Remember this when planting seeds at this new moon, all right? Release and catharsis. We are simultaneously letting go of old mindsets and we're replacing them with new ones. Energy in equals energy out. Okay? It's almost like you're spring cleaning and you've got a whole bunch of clothes in your closet, some of which still have the tags on them. No judgment. But you want some new stuff, right? Some of the stuff clearly doesn't fit and you never returned it. Other stuff is not in style anymore. Some stuff you're just not in love with it anymore. It's like, think of it as like for each item of clothing that you remove, that you clean out, that you clear out from that closet, you're replacing it with a new one. That's what is meant by energy in, energy out, okay? So think about that when you're planting seeds. And this directly relates to the resistance I was talking about before. You're planting seeds of financial abundance. You need to eradicate the resistance of lack. You need to eradicate the resistance of, insecurity and self-worth, right? That's what I mean by energy in, energy out. Next. I have in quotes when it all falls down. And this is the song, the Kanye West song. Okay. It goes back to darkest before the dawn. Old structures and paradigms crumble to make way for new, abundant, and aligned ones. You cannot stop fate or destiny. You have to just surrender to it and allow it. So there are things, and this is more so on a societal, a collective level. Clearly, there are institutions. Clearly, there are organizations. Clearly, there are things that we've grown up with, that we've uh, been accustomed to, certain authority figures. It's all crumbling. It's all falling down. It's all being decimated, right? You have to just let it. Some people are really upset right now, and I get it, especially people who are in the older generations. These are the people who, a lot of these people think that, the world is going to hell in a handbasket, right? That's a good thing, though. We're literally witnessing our own evolution. And to cling to the pieces of rubble that are falling, to try to put together a building that has been decimated, is an exercise in futility. You got to let it go. If it fell, that means it wasn't meant to endure. Now you have the chance to build something that will. And this is a direct reflection of what's going on in our mind. If you realize that the way that your family has viewed money, the beliefs that they've conditioned you with about money are not serving you, clinging to those ideas is not going to change your situation. You got to let it go, and you have to adopt a new story, a new narrative about money that reflects abundance, lasting abundance. It's not an easy task, right? But it is doable. And you get to do it at this new moon, so do it. And then finally, I heard whistle while you work. Focus on job or career. Now, this message is for some, not all. For some, a leadership position or promotion or elevation is imminent. Be confident and don't let them see you sweat. If you are being promoted, if you are being elevated, if you are being recognized, if you're getting an award, that's because it's your time. You've earned it. Don't let the old narrative tell you, "Oh, I don't deserve this. I don't know." You do deserve it. It's your time. It's time to move up. All right? So don't second guess it. All right, my loves. So that concludes this video on the new moon in Gemini. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you could use going into this new moon. If you found this video helpful, if you found it informative, please like and definitely share this with people that need this information. We've still got a couple of days to enjoy this new moon energy. So typically, the energy of the new moon is 3 days before and 3 days after. So we're right in the range of the new moon, right? So we've got the rest of this week into the weekend to really set our intentions, plant those seeds, etc. So share this information to anyone who you think would benefit from it. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. I wish you nothing but the absolute best for this new moon in Gemini, and I will see you in my next video. All right, my loves, take care.